All right, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we have episode 18 of season 3 of the Look In series, something I'm doing at the end of each team season, where I go back, recap the team season, see what the future holds, and look in to what this team is doing. Today's episode is on the Orlando Magic. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so I'll support our channel. Be very much appreciated. And yeah, don't want to say any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So we're talking about the Orlando Magic today. The Magic have lost in 5 games to the Boston Celtics in the first round. And yeah, it was a really tough season for the Magic. I mean, they started off really hot. Paolo Banchero was having an All-NBA type of season early in the year, and then unfortunately, he has an oblique injury. Was it oblique? I think it was an oblique injury where he missed a lot of time. Then Franz Wagner was having an all-star type of season. He has another injury. Jalen Suggs having a really good year. He goes out injury. And the Magic, I mean, they stayed afloat for most of the first half of the season. And even then, when Paolo and Franz came back, they started to kind of dip a little bit. No Jalen Suggs really hurt this team. The lack of three-point shooting still really showed. KCP did not have a great year despite him, them bringing him in. And I thought it was an amazing signing, one of the best signings of free agency. KCP being brought in as a veteran, guy that he could shoot the three and play defense. That's what the Magic need. And unfortunately, he didn't have a great year. Mo Wagner also got hurt. He tore his ACL. He's a big part of this team. And the Magic kind of stumbled to the finish line, finished with a 500 record, get bounced in the first round by the Celtics. But I mean, obviously not really panicking for the Magic. I mean, they still have a young core. Apollo, Frogs, Wagner, and Suggs are all 22, 23 years old. And it's tough. I mean, when your star player, Paolo Banchero misses, he missed over 30, 35 games. Franz missed 22 games. Jalen Suggs only played in 35 games. Like, your top 3 guys, none of them played more than 60 games. And that's really tough to sustain, winning. And they did for the first half of the year, but it just couldn't really, sustain for most of the year. Eventually, it fell because teams got better, teams got more healthy, and they didn't get healthy really at all, the Magic. The entire team did. And now we look at this team in the offseason and say, what's the plan? I think the plan is pretty simple. I said last year, kind of, in my Look In series against the Magic when they lost to the Cavs in 7, the plan is simple for this team. And it's still kind of the same. They need perimeter creation and perimeter shooting. In a league today where threes are at a premium, the Magic were the worst three-point shooting team in the league this year. They have no really spacing. Their 2 star players are Paolo and Franz, 2 wings that can get to the basket and score, thankfully. But they also have to do it in so much traffic because no defenses respect anybody on the perimeter for this Orlando Magic team. It should have been KCP. KCP did not have a good season shooting the ball. 34% from 3. He only took 4 attempts per game, which is 4th on the team. He has to take more shots, I feel like. And yeah, Anthony Black isn't a three-point shooter yet. Cole Anthony's not an elite three-point shooter. He's more of a creator. Wendell Carter Jr., not a three-point shooter that people worry about. Jonathan Isaac, not out there. No one's going to care about the three-point shooting. They do have guys on the end of the bench like Caleb Houston and Jett Howard, but those guys are still really, really young and haven't really developed into being consistent rotational players yet for them. Corey Joseph became a starter for this team because he was an average three-point shooter. And that's all they kind of need. Gary Harris, at this point, is kind of the back end of his career, not really playing a whole lot. So they just have nobody on the perimeter that other teams respect. And so they're going to double and triple team Franz every time they get to the rim because it's like, okay, if it leads to an Anthony Black corner 3 or Wendell Carter corner 3 or a Cole Anthony top of the key 3, we'll live with it. Because we know the chances, if we let them shoot all day, they're not going to hit 7, 8, 3. They're not going to kill us. They're not going to do it. They're going to shoot themselves in the own foot by missing all those shots. So we're good. And, so the plan is go get perimeter shooting. Not just perimeter shooting, not just three-point specialist, but also maybe a guard that can create at a high level. A perimeter guard that can create. Jalen Suggs is good. He took some strides this year. But he's not a guy who get the ball in his hands, go get a bucket. His value's more on the defensive end, the energy, while also being a solid three-point shooter as well. Even though he didn't have a crazy three-point shooting year, but you also got to factor in at some points he was the number 1 option. At some points, so that's going to be tough. And then all their other guards, like Anthony Black, is not a creator in terms of being a bucket getter. Anthony Black is more of a kind of connecting piece, a defender that plays hard, that can make good passes. Cole Anthony is a creator, but he's not an elite creator where he's going to average 20-something points per game. And then they don't have any other guards on this team. I mean, their creators are Paolo and Franz. Those are your creators. Those are basically your point guards. So they don't really have a lot of guards that can create for themselves on the perimeter. So go getting that guy that can create on the perimeter is good. I've seen Anthony Simons has been a guy that's been linked to the Magic, being a guy also from Florida, that can, you know, I mean, we know he can be an elite 3-point shooter. He's a good creator, one of the more underrated players in the league. Not a great defender, so he's not going to really fit in terms of the defensive scheme that the Magic have. But again, Orlando also have so many. When you have Jalen Suggs next to him, it's going to be nice. And they have so much defense around. I've seen Anthony Simon. Maybe even do they go for a bigger star? Maybe I've seen LaMelo Ball maybe be an option, and I don't think that's a bad one either. I mean, LaMelo, he's a guy that most of his shots are going to be 3-pointers, and that's what this team needs. And he's a guy that can get hot and hit 7 or 8 threes, while also, again, fitting. Even though he's not an amazing defender either, he fits the height and length. I mean, being a 6'6", 6'7" point guard, so the Magic love to run their big lineups with 4, 6'9", 6'10" guys on their roster. LaMelo Ball will fit there. And I would like that fit, having a big three, Apollo, Franz, and LaMelo. I think that's pretty solid, especially in the Eastern Conference. Like, the Magic are not far away from being a really good team in the East. Considering where the Bucks are at right now, considering where the Sixers are at right now, considering where a lot of teams are kind of at, the Miami Heat, where they're at right now. Like, it's not one decent offseason for the Magic, and this team is another top 5 team in the East again. I love the core they have. Paolo is going to be an All-NBA type player. Franz Wagner is an all-star level player. And with the kind of defensive mentality that they have, I mean, literally all they need is some players on their team that know how to hit a 3-pointer. They just need players that know how to make a 3, and they'll be fine. They're also going to have 2 first-round picks this year. Their own pick, and they also have the Denver Nuggets pick. So you can even address maybe a little bit more of that shooting in the draft. They tried that a little bit. It hasn't been the greatest, but you have Tristan da Silva, who you drafted last year. I think is going to be a rotational player next year. I really like Tristan da Silva. Drafted Anthony Black. He hasn't been amazing so far, but he shows a little bit of things. Then after that, you did draft Jet Howard as a latter live pick, who hasn't really found his way into the rotation yet. He's still only 21 years old, so he can definitely find his way in there. So the drafting hasn't been super amazing in terms of the mid-first round or whatever for Orlando, but getting 2 more opportunities this year will be really good. Maybe getting a guy like a Jeremiah Fears if he's there, or a guy that can be a shot creator. Even though Jeremiah Fears might not go outside the lottery depending on how things go, but getting another shot creator, maybe a young shot creator on the perimeter, wouldn't be the worst thing. Again, it'd probably be better if you can get an already established guy, like I mentioned earlier, like an Anthony Simons or something like that. But I mean, getting 3-point shooting in the draft and getting, players that can hit the 3, and maybe some already ready guys, like looking at maybe like a Liam McNeely out of UConn, a guy that can shoot the ball, maybe put the ball on the floor a little bit, and he also has size at 6'8". He's a willing defender, so you have that. Let's see, maybe a Rasheer Fleming. I really love Rasheer Fleming. I think he could be good wherever he goes. Maybe like a Will Riley, a Carter Bryant with a late first-round pick. Like, there's some options here. Even if maybe even you do take a swing at the dice on Jace Richardson if he's there available. A young guard that can create for himself. Maybe you take a chance on that depending on how things fall. I don't know, but I mean, the Magic, they have the blueprint is there for the Magic. The blueprint is there, and really, it's just gonna be about the front office to execute on that blueprint. And I think the Magic are one of those teams that I would love to see be really aggressive in the offseason. Not saying trade everybody, but being aggressive in terms of if there's someone available, go get them. The Magic usually aren't a team that has been super aggressive in the past few years. Like you saw this offseason, or this trade deadline, where maybe they could have got some guys that could help out, but they didn't. They kept this team together because they're like, no, we want to keep this team together. We've been injured. We want to see how that works, which is not horrible, but I definitely would have loved to see them go out and get something that addresses their faults at the trade deadline. But I think this offseason is the time to do it now. Look at the other teams in the East. Look at where you're at. Like, it's time right now, I think, to go out and try to get some things moving. This team has already shown they're a playoff team. They've already shown they're good enough, even with all the injuries and stuff. They still made the playoffs in the East. Like, they're still a competitive playoff team in the East, and that's what you want, step 1. Now it's time to, move to the next step. Maybe try to win a series. Try to be a top 4 home court in the first round. Like, I think it's time for that now, and I think You're not going to be able to do that unless you address the faults of this team, which is, again, perimeter shooting, perimeter creation. And so I want the Magic to come in this offseason, be aggressive. Go out and get some guys that you know can fit with the shooting. Go maybe try to get another guard if he's out there. Don't force it, but if there's someone out there that is kind of available, go out and try to do it. Like, think about people untouchable on this team. Personally, to me, the only people that are truly untouchable are Paulo, Franz, and maybe Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs like 90%. Besides that, everybody else on this team for me is available. Even the young guys, even Anthony Black, even Jett Howard, even like I think anything's on the table for Orlando. If there's a guy out there that they truly think can move this team to the next level, I'm not opposed to trading anybody except for, again, the top three. Jalen Suggs. I think you only trade Jalen Suggs if it's like a superstar, which very unlikely that they get a superstar, but you never know. But besides that, like, if there's someone out there, I wouldn't mind giving up KCP, giving up Cole Anthony, giving up Anthony Black, giving up Wendell Carter. I wouldn't mind Goga. I wouldn't mind giving up anybody I need to go get those guys, because this Magic team has already shown they are competitive and they are a good team. They just need to put the pieces together, and I hope the Magic do it because I really would love to see them capitalize on what they have right now. But yeah, it's gonna be it today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn notifications to all stuff like that. I really appreciate it. Really helps out a lot. Once again, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So support on the channel, be very much appreciated. You can look up here. There's a playlist of the other Look At episodes. You can go back and watch those. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.